Welcome to Get Moving TV. I'm Dr. Chris Landon and I serve as your host. Here in Ventura County, we have some extraordinary venues for music. We have some extraordinary people doing things, going out of our country to help other people. And right here, we have groups working to really help the farm workers lead a better life. But just starting with my first guest, Mark, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So Mark live in Ojai, and there's several restaurants out there, and I got told you need to go down to the Vine and check out this guy. And so we started to talk after, and he's got such a unique voice. I hope that you'll go to his website and hear some of the songs there. We'll see if we can get little snippets in. What brought you to California? You've been here for quite a long time.
We got here 4 months ago. My wife's family has lived here for 50 years in Ojai, and we have been kind of preparing the last few years to make a trek out here and kind of change life to help out the folks, and just to do business out here too.
Welcome to Ojai.
Thank you.
And welcome
it's
to
beautiful. It's definitely beautiful out here.
And welcome to that part of your life there. Well, down at the Vine, you do something pretty you do it very well. So what is it that you do so everyone else knows?
Well, I come from a pretty extensive production and music background. And after having myself interviewed over 150 kind of B-level musicians, I kind of came full circle to where I felt like what people really want to hear in the more quaint situations, such as restaurants and wine bars and that kind of thing, is they just want to hear songs that are familiar to them. And so for the last more than a couple years, maybe the last 5 years, I've, just kind of stockpiled several hundred just great cover songs that people know, and I just kind of try to put my own spin on it. And I try to provide it more like a service than a, look at me, I'm doing a show. Just, it's more kind of there in the corner, just like a jukebox, more like.
You reinterpret things, and what's always remarkable about a good performer is you bring your heart with it every time. It's not just, here's some more chords and I'm a singer-songwriter, because I just take pencils and put them in my eyes around those guys. And since I'm married to one, thanks Robin, sorry. You really bring it, and you bring out things in that song that maybe weren't there before.
I kind of feel like I'm pretty quiet in life normally, and so I think everything comes out in those moments of doing songs. I hold back everywhere else in life and just let it out in song.
Well, here we have all these kids. Some of them have gotten a little off track, and this program puts them on track and gives them the ability to express themselves, but gives them the tools. And you are a guitar player, which my wife is a very good guitar player and comes to watch you. So how did you pick up that particular skill? Were you hiding out in Muscle Shoals with alligators, and where did that come from?
That's time, I guess. I mean, I started when I was 9 years old, and I'm 54 now, and I've never stopped playing.
Well, when we watch something like The Voice, we're looking for that One Direction band, and it's a different part of how you perform. You bring your life with you. You're not a pretty little boy face there and trying to make the high harmonies before puberty hits there. You really bring that expression. Well, we were talking earlier too, just you've interviewed how many people and in what capacity?
We produced a feature called Spotlight On that aired on ABC affiliates in different small markets there in the South, in Arkansas and Nashville and Tulsa, and then we did one run with the Ovation Network. And we just taped a lot of touring level, more songwriters. At the time we were doing it was around 2000 to 2010. There were a lot of singer-songwriters through that genre, so it is more singer-songwriter style, although we did tape a few bands. But it was in a format just like this, just in a little small studio, and just interviewed them and talked about their life and caught a couple of songs, and then packaged it up and broadcast it.
Of course, I'm going to hope that you can do that here in Ventura. We've got a number of bands here that B-level, A-level, people who are retired here at our local little Deer Lodge. I saw Dave Mason, and he's in cargo shorts and flip-flops, and I don't think half the crowd knew who he was. They're talking and drinking through it, and I just go, so are you going to maybe try and put a little feature spotlight here, or you take the Southwest?
Well,
or?
believe it or not, from that project, we learned a little something from that on how to expand it, and that's when we came up with the deal that we're doing now, which is called My Town Rocks TV. We're, expanding it to more of a website platform where when we get the features built, it'll be more accessible, obviously, through online. But we're taking these same level type artists and doing a feature on the town that they're from. Instead of like before we were catching them and they would tell us all about where they're from and what they do and all this, and now we're actually going to put together a handful of features where we go to different towns and have these artists host some information about where they're from and what's cool about their town. My Town Rocks TV.
Hope to have you come back in a month or so and hear this has been funded. What's that funding trail like? I mean, we'll see Indiegogo and all that. And
yeah, we started. Let's put it this way: we started before YouTube really even started hitting big when we first started the Spotlight On project, and of course, all the Indiegogo and GoFundMe and all that stuff is launched in the last 5 and 10 years. I mean, back when we were doing it, first of all, we just put an enormous amount of personal money in it to kind of get it started, which you kind of have to do. And then we do like everybody else, keep other jobs and a lot of other income coming in to fund it. And all I can say, it has been an unbelievable journey after working for a production company who produces for ESPN for now 35 years. I worked there 25 years, and then after I left working there to start my own project, it was like night and day. I spent the first part of my life learning how to be creative, produce, deliver, all through this system. Then I spent this last 15 years going, oh my gosh, you got to get money first.
Yeah. And so besides this project and the next project you have going on, how far up and down the coast do you go in terms of performing?
Well, I do once a month down at Paula Casino, which is down there in San Diego, actually crosses the line into San Diego County. So from Ojai down to San Diego, and I'm okay with that.
Well, that sounds good to me. So we want to keep you performing. We want to have you come back in about a month with that successful project.
Yeah, I'd love to tell you about it when we get our hands in it right.
All right.
We're close. We do have a lot of good people that are getting involved, and we should get there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking your time today to come on the show, and again, we hope to hear that success. So Ventura, we're going to be right back. Welcome back, Ventura. When we go to the store, when we interact with people who work here in Ventura, if it just takes a couple, 30 seconds more and you find out what big hearts they have. I'm here today with Dale, and Dale was my contractor. And if you know my wife and know me, you know he was 90% psychologist and 10% contractor. So welcome to the show, Dale.
Thank you for having me.
So did you grow up in Ventura? How did you get here?
No, I actually grew up in San Fernando Valley and then moved here in '73.
So surf, motorcycle?
That was the main thing. Closer to the beach, enjoyed the beach lifestyle.
So how did you get to be a contractor? Because I want everybody to know that's a longer arc. There's some tests involved, I think.
That's not the reason I started. The reason I started was because I got to work outside and got paid to run this machine that was called a gantry. Mm-hmm. And I was racing motorcycles at the time, and so it built up our arm strength, so it was just a natural. So that's how I got into that, and then one thing led to another, and started to work for a contractor, general contractor up in Ojai. Mm-hmm. And from there, then we went ahead and he was moving to New Mexico. And so we thought we'd give it a try, and so went out there for 4 years and had a great time, and then came back here.
So in terms of, don't you have to do classwork and take exams, or people work
absolutely.
under other people's contractors' licenses? Makes me a little nervous there if they don't have their own license.
Well, actually, I got a license first in New Mexico, and then I got licensed here in the state of California. And yeah, it is a long, involved process. They ask you a whole lot of questions, like how big is a handicapped elevator platform and things like that. Things you always use, you know, on an everyday basis.
Yeah. Well, you know, when we were talking, immediately I thought of the patient I had who was upstairs. He's in a wheelchair. He'd been beaten by his father, and by getting him out of that house, he finally started to talk, and now he's taking engineering classes at Ventura College and switching over to Cal State Channel Islands. But he almost drowned, just trying to get him up and down the stairs and wash him, and we got a little money to rebuild a bathroom. And so I go, Dale, how do you think you can get anything together there? And it never quite worked out because of the city of Oxnard, but you know, that's the kind of thing where your heart comes out. And if you just ask somebody a simple question, your brain started putting it together. So, but I know you do construction. What kind of things do you do in terms of giving back to the community?
Well, I'm involved in Rotary, which a lot of people don't understand what Rotary is. I always thought it was just a sign at the beginning of each city that said they meet at a certain time in a certain area. Had no idea. I got involved with them in 2003 and found out it was an international organization that did a lot of things throughout the local community and internationally. And it was really eye-opening to see how extensive this organization was. And got to meet a lot of good people throughout that, and got a lot of traveling by being involved with them. So it was a lot of fun on my part, because being in construction, a lot of the projects we do are construction with Rotary. And so it was a natural fit, and I had a great time doing that.
Well, you know, a lot of times these organizations, because I give lots of chicken and pea circuit, and everybody's kind of 90 years old, and this is what they do to get together, and bringing the young people up, and really we're trying to do this with our Ventura Global Health Program. Instead of people the doctors when they retire, they start traveling, that we really get the young people going. Is there projects that you do where you can just have young people mentor them and have them understand what's going on in the rest of the world?
Absolutely. We have what's called Interact, which is the high school age children, and then they have Rotaract, which is 18 to like 35. And what's nice about that is the school is required they do a certain amount of community service. So this helps them get involved, which is something I'm sure you and I weren't involved in when we were growing up. I mean, it was all about us. And now with the kids nowadays, they're so involved with other things besides themselves. It's really great to see what they're able to accomplish. And we've put together a bunch of international projects where we take these Rotaract kids, like we've been to Nicaragua, Costa Rica, into India. And so it's an opportunity for them to go to other parts of the country and actually see how other people have to live, and also see what affects their decisions. And it's really amazing, because I've noticed throughout my years of being on this earth is that people that do international travel, no matter what they do, they come back more well-rounded. They're able to see things from a broader perspective than just being raised in the same neighborhood. So I think it's a great opportunity for our young folks to actually get out there and see that they don't have it as tough as they think it is when their iPhone doesn't work.
Yeah, my daughter went to, where was it, Chichicastenango down in Guatemala with my wife to bring wheelchairs to an orphanage. She was 13. There's no way my wife was right about food or clothing or anything. And week in an orphanage, seeing what little these children had, where they'd pass around a picture on a Wheaties box, because that was it, that was the entertainment. She hugged my wife on the way back. So yeah, it's a great learning experience. What is in terms of fundraising kinds of things? What does the Rotary do to raise funds for these trips and to help out the community?
Well, there's a lot of donations, but one of our biggest fundraisers is the July 4th fireworks that we hold at the Ventura College in conjunction with Ventura College. And we get a lot of big donors for that, and it obviously benefits the community to have so many people come out and see such a great show. And with that money that we earn from that, we go ahead and do the different projects. We also have other ways we raise money, like we have marathons and bike races and stuff that helps raise money. And our Rotary group gives out dictionaries to third graders all over Ventura County here. And it's one of the things that we take pride in because it's such a joy watching those kids get that brand new dictionary, which they probably don't even own a book at that point, and being able to take it home and share it with their family. It's a huge thing.
Well, Dale, thank you so much for joining us. I know this time went by faster than you can believe. So Ventura, we're going to be right back. Time for you to go to 4th of July, get dictionaries of third graders. Word, Ventura. Ventura, welcome back. I'm here with Carlos. We had a fundraising event at my house about a week or so ago, and I always get to meet fascinating people. There's some 50 or so people there, and we were raising money for what were we raising money for, Carlos?
Well, we were raising money for Radio Indígena, which is based out of Oxnard, and it's I think, going to be one of the first non-commercial, low-power FM radios in Oxnard.
So as a doctor, I see a lot of patients who do not speak English, don't speak Spanish. We have video translators, we'll bring in translators. And then I think about how isolated they must feel coming up here from Oaxaca, picking our crops. What does MyCop do, and what do you see the radio station, how did that kind of fill that part of their lives?
Yeah, MyCup mostly fills an informational and linguistic gap for that community. Imagine you're coming here, you don't speak or write or read any of the English or Spanish language, and all of the signs and everything is like that. So MyCup sort of helps with health information, empowerment, educational resources. They offer Spanish language. And the radio, more than anything, allows them a creative and artistic output. You know, this community works anywhere between 8 to 10 hours, even more. They're tired, it's hard labor, and an opportunity to be radio DJs is not readily afforded to that community, but we are doing that, we are providing that.
Well, we pack backpacks for the kids to get them started. We've worked on bullying because they are physically smaller, and so they're bullied in school. With the health care, if we don't communicate properly, we may miss something, and I've had that as a problem. We've been really working with scholarships and get kids off to college and so forth, but really preserving their culture and their dance and the food, and the chicken mole was wonderful. Yeah. And so how do you see the radio station filling that gap?
I think in terms of that area, the one thing that the radio provides is a linguistic sort of resource for them. There's really very other places where they can speak their native tongue or even hear it. And on top of that, within this community, there's a great amount of musicians that don't have a venue to play their music and don't have a radio that sort of plays their music. And so we are going to give that opportunity to them, and we hope that we get to change the landscape of radio within Oxnard.
Now, I know you've been spending the last 6 months or so building this program up. Tell me just a little bit about your own, you're on road for a PhD, I understand.
Yes, that's right.
So how does that fit into your PhD thesis and enculturating people and getting them used to what we're doing here in terms of communicating and speaking with authority?
Yeah, well, I came from Chicago to UC Santa Barbara to do my PhD in film and media studies. And so within that realm, I researched farm workers and media. And so naturally I came to Oxnard, I came to the nonprofit MyCup, and I was looking for a place where I could help, and naturally the radio was the place. And so I'm researching while also building the radio station.
Well, Carlos, thank you so much for coming today. We have someone else coming on board. So PhD in Film and Media Studies, it's your turn, Ventura. Welcome back, Ventura. Well, I'm here today with Antonio, where I've been talking about Radio Indígena. And Antonio, how did you become involved with this project?
Thank you for this opportunity. Actually, as before I work as a farm worker, and then I started working with this organization called California Rural Legal Assistance as a community worker, and to provide information in the community in my own language, Mixteco. And one day, this radio from organization MyCop, they started doing a radio program, and I said, this is the opportunity for me to go into DJ to provide this information to the community, because most of the radio don't give us opportunity because we need to pay for the service we provide, and our service is for free. So I said, well, this is the opportunity for me to provide this information to the community in their languages as my language. And right now we have people who speak Zapoteco, Mixteco, and we try to work with other community as a Purepecha community, Nahuatl community, to become to DJ, because we have opportunity to train them to become a DJ, to provide this information to the community.
I know when I go to Peru, if we stop by a mall there, some of the people I'm with are dying for a McDonald's hamburger because they've been in a foreign country eating foreign food for so long. So what it must be a feast to hear your own language while you're working in the fields, or you're at home, or you're on a Sunday. It's a real banquet. The Mixteco as a language you'd think would be simple, and it is the most difficult. I can't speak Portuguese. I've tried, but I can't do that. So how many different dialects are there?
Well, in Oaxaca itself have 16 languages by itself. We have Zapoteco, Nahuatl, Triqui, Mixteco. We have variety of languages. And right now in California, we have indigenous languages, 23 of them, a different state from Mexico. And beside from another country like Guatemala and Salvadorian, is another language who indigenous people come here to work as a field workers, and those are people we still working to tell them, say, hey, we have this opportunity, and as I did, you can become a DJ to provide information through your community, your language, in your own language, and through information and through the music.
Now we think of DJs as scratching things and doing all that. Do you have access to music in their native language? Do the musicians feel this in their heart as well?
Yes, actually people from the different bands and different soul music who play piano, and those are people who come to donate their music to us to play to the radio. That's the way we get those music, because it's hard for us to collect all of them in different languages as a Purepecha community, as a Mixteco community, as a Zapotec community. And we try to tell them, hey, if you singer, bring your music to us and we'll play it to the community. And that's the way we promote them too.
But you're also talking about, we had, at my house, we had the group over and talking about women's rights, talking about literacy, talking about parents learning to read so they could read to their children. What other subjects are on this show? And
well, we, like you mentioned, we have different labor rights, language rights, and housing issues if they are receiving a landlord like a 30-day notice, those type of informations. And we have different DJs cover different topics, sample for kids and for adults, and for farm workers and non-farm workers information, just to provide. We invite different organizations to, beside us, to provide information to people about health issues, about where to go to receive benefits, where to go if you get the discrimination, about education too. We talk more about education, empower the community. We let them know you can do it, but you need to study to get those education, because that's the main point to our community, because we want to tell them that it's opportunity here, but they need to go to the services too, because most of the people say, oh, it's hard for us to come here to learn another languages. It's true, but we told the people is people down there to help you to get the connection between the language, indigenous language, to Mixteco through Spanish or through English.
Now, Mexico is definitely not Spanish. Yeah.
No, it's
Well, one of the things nationally, internationally, in Florida and Texas and wherever people are growing crops is if you're going down the highway and you see 15 farm workers in the back of a pickup truck, you think nothing of it. The highway patrol would stop anybody else and wonder where the seatbelts were, wonder where the air-conditioned van was, have enough water in the fields. When I go down to Peru, I have a lot of patients who are practically in renal failure. So is that the kind of thing that you work on as well, so that?
Yeah, we provide information about their legal rights, but at the same time, we tell them, you know what, because in Mexico is different laws, and they become here is different laws, and we teach them the transition of the laws to incorporate with the existing laws here.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Ventura. Time to get moving, off to the Rotary Club, get some fundraising, and support My Cop events. Welcome to Get Moving TV. I'm Dr. Chris Landon, and I serve as your host. Get moving TV. We're going to be right back. Get moving. I'm Dr. Chris Landon, I serve as your host. Get moving, Ventura.